Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and a very warm welcome on yet another episode of the Revolving Perspective. First of all, a very warm good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time zone in the country from wherever you are watching this. We have been talking about perspectives for long. And with every single word from our eminent guests who have been coming on board to us, we have been looking at different perspectives around it. Now, what if I tell you there is a perspective to the word knowledge also? What if I tell you that there is a perspective to the word thinking also? What if I tell you that somebody calls himself a knowledge entrepreneur? And what if I tell you that somebody works on design thinking capabilities? Now, that is what the eminent personality who is there with us today, and he's going to come on a screen now, works around. Mr. Niket Karajagi, and I welcome to Mr. Niket to you. Niket, sir, very warm welcome on this platform of the Revolving Perspective. And it is really nice to see you here, sir.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I really start this and I come up with my questions to you, first of all, for our audiences, we would love to know what Mr. Niket Karajagi is all about. What is he? So if you can just let us know about yourself, please.
I'm a catalyst of change.
Wow. Okay.
Right. That's my identity.
Mm-hmm.
I help people discover their passion. I help them to modify their behaviors so that their passions can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I also help them to monetize their passions. So if
Okay.
I were to put this in a perspective, let's say if it's a corporate professional and is working with a large conglomerate or any kind of an organization. Firstly, what I do is I look at doing the assessments.
Mm-hmm.
After I do the assessments, I find out what the job role is, what is the expectation around it. And then through the assessment, identify which are those behaviors which are not permitting the person to achieve the goals or maybe to move to the next orbit. It all
Mm-hmm.
depends on the brief. If it's an entrepreneur, then I look at what is the passion. And a lot of time entrepreneurs are not very sure about their passions. I help them to structure their passions in a very definitive way.
Mm-hmm.
And once the passions are structured in a definitive way, then I take them into the process of authentic leadership,
Okay.
where the whole idea again is to help them to modify their behaviors, align them to the passion. Because we live in a world of cause and effect. If
Mm-hmm.
you're succeeding because you are engaging the right behaviors. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not succeeding, it's because you're not engaging the right behaviors. It's as simple as that. And that's my work. That's
Okay.
absolutely my work.
Okay, so having understood what Mr. Niket does for the world, now I have a couple of questions coming in right from your conversation here. You talked about structuring passion around. Now, this is something new, okay, especially for me. You may be an expert into it, but for me, structuring passion, because passion for me is a value, and so can you just throw some more light onto this?
Okay. So I have a TEDx talk on authentic leadership.
Okay,
And there I say that there are three types of human beings. One who never discovered their passion.
okay.
There's no problem. There's no problem at all. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not a rule that you have to investigate what your passion is and get onto it. There are a second set of people who discover their passion and align to the passion.
Okay.
And the third set of people who know what their passion is but do nothing about it.
Oh,
All right. And they actually tend to quarrel a lot with life because they knew what they wanted to do. They knew what their sense of purpose is,
mm-hmm.
but they have no other choice but to keep blaming the world.
Understood.
Right. So my area of work is with two people. One who know what their passion is but blame the world.
Okay.
Second set of people who know what their passion is and who have the grit and gusto in them to actually execute that passion.
Okay.
Now, why do I say that it is structured?
Hmm.
I say it is structured because passion for a lot of people is a very hazy dream.
True.
Okay, it's like I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it.
Hmm.
Right? Now, so a lot of people come to me with the idea, I know what I want to do, but I'm not very sure how to do it. Or a
Absolutely.
lot of times people do come to me with a midlife crisis and say, hey, you know what? I am so disturbed in my life that I need help now.
Hmm.
Okay, so one is to help them to identify what their passion is. And I keep telling people,
Hmm.
anything that you would do for free, that one single thing that you would do for free is your passion.
Okay.
You ask me to get up in the middle of the night to do a transformation process on a human being, I will.
Okay.
I won't care whether I'm billing or I'm not billing. So that's the passion. And that's
Understood.
exactly what I tend to do, because life is so beautiful that based on our passions, it also gives us our values, it also gives us our talents, and it also gives us the cognitive ability
Mm-hmm.
to manage those situations. We're born with this, and that's the mystical aspect of life.
Okay.
Now, when people come to me and say, hey, you know what, I'm in a midlife crisis, or maybe I know what my passion is and I want to take on to an entrepreneurial dream,
Mm-hmm.
now the journey starts in terms of the self inquiry.
Sure.
Okay, what is it that you have in you which will help you to succeed? And I never look at weaknesses of people because there's no point. I think people have wasted too much time working on their weaknesses, they get nowhere. The whole idea is you're born with a set of strengths, you hone up those strengths through practice. And by the way, I mean, my research also says a particular behavior may be a weakness in a particular situation, but it's a strength in another situation.
Absolutely. That's what we call revolving perspectives also.
Absolutely. So if that is the situation, then the whole idea is okay. You have these set of attributes that you're born with, which you would like to call talent, and you're going to hone them up. Now that you have your own set of values, which are those things that are extremely important for you in your life. And interestingly, every time I have worked with successful people, the first value that they have is professional success.
Mm-hmm.
And the second value that they have is relationships or family.
Sure.
I have also met people who are successful for whom first value is family and the second value is professional success. And again, there is no quarrel there. It's perfectly okay.
Correct.
Okay, but I just sensitize people in terms of where the stresses could come when you're getting into execution of passion,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have a passion, you have your sense of values. Your values undergo transformation as you go through the process of success or as you go through the process of evolution in life.
Mm-hmm.
And while that happens, your belief systems are also changing because they're set of emotional thought processes that exist within you. They're emotionally held opinions that you carry because of your life experiences. I
Mm-hmm.
don't deal with behavioral, I don't believe in working on belief systems. I only work in the behavioral objective of a person. So what I tend to do is I say, okay, you got a set of values, perfectly fine. You got a certain set of belief systems, perfectly fine. Can I now identify if this is your passion? What are those set of behaviors that are required to become successful?
Understood.
And I think I'm born with that ability. As a child, also, I was like that. I could pinpoint behaviors, it comes to me naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I can identify what are those behaviors which are required to become successful for the execution of the passion. And I
Okay.
put that person in a controlled environment then. Obviously, if he's an entrepreneur, then I get into the management perspective of mine,
Mm-hmm.
the international business degree that I have. I put all that into practice. But the point is very simple. I set up a business canvas for people. And after I set up a business canvas for people, then I say, okay, done. Now let's work on behaviors. That's it. That's
Okay. So,
nothing else.
so tell me one thing, Niketji, if I may put it this way, during the process of success, the transformation happens of the belief system and the values and everything. Do agree? The same thing happens during the process of failures also when there are dips happening. Our emotions start playing a role out there as well.
Yes.
uh, if I may ask you, from the vast experience that you bring on the table and all,
Yes.
if you will have to just take us through one such person, without the name obviously, but one such case study of yours wherein you felt that this was really difficult to handle this case, and you know the person have come out with the flying colors through you through this entire thing happening.
Oh, that happens continuously in my life.
So take us through any one of them in that
Oh,
case.
well, I can give you scenarios where a lot of times when I'm dealing with very senior corporate professionals,
Hmm.
they come into the coaching process and they normally come with their past successes and therefore they believe that they're amazing.
Hmm.
However, the organization has a different perspective about them because they want them to move to the next orbit. A typical situation could be a vice president now aspiring to become a CEO, and
Hmm.
now the behaviors have to be modified because the behaviors of a VP do not necessarily become successful as a behavior of CEOs.
Correct.
So with that perspective, when I started working with these people, now obviously I can't take names here, but I'll give you
Yeah,
certain
obviously, no
situations,
names, please.
right? They tell me, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm successful. What are you talking about? It starts there.
Yeah, obviously, because
Actually start with a phenomena that I don't understand why I need a coach.
mm,
Or they can be polite enough and say, thank you very much. The organization has given me a coach. But then the question mark is, what am I going to do with you? Because I already know it all. From there on, when the journey starts, obviously you're dealing with a person who's got the legacy of success and therefore may or may not want to be successful.
Correct.
The same set of behaviors.
Yeah.
And I'm saying may not want to be successful because he believes he's already successful.
Correct.
Okay, and it is going to be an automatic process for movement to the next job. But the organization says, no, no, he's going to fail because if he's like this, he's going to move. Now, typically, I'll tell you, the hard taskmasters tend to be very poor on relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
this is the argument I always have in my coaching process. And I tell them as a CEO, your job is to carry the entire organization along. But he says, as a VP, I've carried the organization along. I said, yeah, you carry your team along, but look at the 360. What are they saying? They're saying you're such a tough person that given a choice, they would not want to work with you.
Mm.
And it's like, and that goes as a jolter because they say, no, we're successful in spite of this. And professionalism does not mean I get into relationships. And that's where the whole idea of coaching starts. We
Mm.
go through the ups and downs. And a lot of times I tell them, hey, look, it's not going to work out. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's a jolter because a lot of times people believe that coaches are there because they want to build.
Yeah.
And here's one man saying, okay, thank you. You've already arrived and I don't think you need me. And that itself can be an amazing transformation process.
Okay.
It's not about rejection of a person. It's about making the person aware that if you're so confident about your success, now go take it.
So, if I may say so, actually, at times or at stages of life, we reach a place wherein it becomes important for us to unlearn something in order to take a new learning coming our way, and that ability or that willingness to do is something that people will really fight within themselves. Am I right in saying so?
Look, wisdom is all about confronting the darker side.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't confront your darker side, there is some time in life when you're going to lose out for sure.
Very true. Very true.
For sure.
Very true. Okay. Coming to one more phrase that you used during the first part of the interview when you were trying to let us know what Mr. Niket Karajagi is all about. You talked about you started with actually I'm a catalyst for change, and you have very nicely briefed us or taken us through that journey to some extent. But if I may ask you, this was one aspect of what you do, and I'm pretty sure looking at your profile, I'm aware there is a lot more than this that Mr. Niket is holding up his sleeves. So, as a catalyst of change, what all domains are you trying to cover up of human life or corporate life or entrepreneurship, whatever?
Look, I've always believed in your journey of life, it's the responsibility which we carry for ourselves also to evolve.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do, and I do one thing for sure. Anything that I'm scared of doing, I do it.
Wow.
So if I'm confronting a situation and I believe that I'm afraid to do it,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I don't I don't move into specific domains. I work across domains.
Okay, so that's where you were coming to actually. I could understand now. Okay, so in if that be the case, so am I will I be right in saying so that or rather I know I'm right in saying so, but then I'm still wanting your confirmation on this. So any problem and every problem that you have, especially related to these sort of behavioral aspects of and requirements to become successful, we have with us a one man show out here who can really help you out. One stop solution, which we call it. Am I right in saying so, Mr. Niket?
Solutions are always two-way.
I agree, but then somebody who is guiding.
I would love to be a catalyst of change in
Okay,
any person's life who wants to leave a legacy behind on this planet.
I think that's the most powerful statement that you have just
I
made.
don't want to work with people who want to lead a life which is cozy, comfortable, mediocre, and I'm okay with. I have no quarrel with them. I have no quarrel with them. But they don't need me.
Fantastic.
Why would they need me? So you will never find me marketing my work ever. I'm there on all social media platforms, just giving away my content. That's it.
Yeah, I have been a follower of it, so I can surely understand that.
I've never said come do business with me.
Absolutely
In fact, I don't have a sales team and I don't have a marketing team.
true. Okay, so Niket, till here, what we were discussing was about you, about what you do for the world, and where people can look at you from that perspective. Okay, now For a minute, I want Mr. Niket as an entrepreneur to be here with me, not as a coach, not as a TEDx speaker, nothing. Just as an entrepreneur who is. I know you don't have a marketing and a sales team now, but then still, I may safely say that you are an entrepreneur because you are into business out here. Okay, so from your entrepreneurship journey, if I may really look into it, where from this started? You said you had some traits right from your childhood in terms of understanding these things, and you were good at it and all that. But where from it started? What actually made you to enter this world?
Look, I belong to the family of engineers,
Okay.
right? Everybody in our family has to be an engineer.
Okay.
So I became one.
Fantastic.
When I went to the engineering college, I didn't know why I was going there, but I went there,
Mm-hmm.
right? I did my course. I got my first job. But before I took my job, I was very sure in my mind, one day I will become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I don't know what entrepreneur. Now, I'm a mechanical engineer. I had dreams. Maybe I will design an automobile
Okay.
and make a grand company out of it. I mean, I used to have some fancy dreams always.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got lost in this whole, rat race of corporate life.
Okay.
Suddenly I forgot I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I got into a rat race, promotion after promotion, throwing challenges to the organization, saying, here I am wanting to do this, that, all that. You give me this salary, this increment, that promotion. Sometimes God was kind, sometimes God was not kind. Sometimes life was kind, sometimes life was not kind.
Mm-hmm.
But then came the midlife crisis at the age of 32,
Okay.
when my mind started revolting, my heart started revolting. And when I used to go to the office, I used to ask myself the question, is this what I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I sat in my chair, the inner calling was, this is not what you're meant to do.
Okay.
And I quit. I asked myself this question, what's that one thing I would do for free? And the answer that came to my mind was, there are so many people who want to be successful, and yet they cannot be successful because for some reason they are not able to give velocity to their aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
I left my job. I quit overnight.
Okay.
And I knew that majority of entrepreneurs quit. I don't want to get into the percentage numbers of how many
Mm-hmm.
quit, but I knew I didn't want to quit. And I know one thing for sure in life, once a quitter, always a quitter. So
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I did was I started a private limited company because it's impossible to wind it up. And even if you want to wind it up, the effort required is so high that you will rethink about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I started my first company, which is a private limited venture. For the first 3 years, nobody gave me business.
Okay.
Nobody gave me business because I was an operations guy, not coming from any HR background. Nobody gave me business.
Mm-hmm.
So I met a person uh, on the flight, and I was worried whether I took the right decision. And he said, look, 1,000 days, nothing happens. And I'm the first generation entrepreneur in my family because
Mm-hmm.
everybody is a government servant, very senior government officials. Nobody had ever done business. There was no mentoring. Nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
He said, nothing is going to happen for 1,000 days. If you can last 1,000 days, you'll make it big. I don't know. For some reason, I believe that metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that empirical formula. And I said, whatever now, I'm going to stick it out.
Okay.
For 3 years, I kept reading. I don't know how many pages I read. For 3 years, I was a seeker. I was getting into mysteries of life. I was trying to understand human being. I was trying to understand psychology. I was trying to understand life.
Mm-hmm.
And then magic happened after 3 years.
So 1,000 days and.
Oh yeah, 1,000 days. And what happened was clients started happening. And it's very interesting. I mean, one thing about entrepreneurship is you can't be on a high horse ever in life.
Agree.
So whenever I used to be called, I used to be rejected. And I used to go up. I said, fair enough, yeah, someday you will call me.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, all my deals, initial deals happened when I was rejected and they chose another trainer or a consultant or a coach, whatever. And the fellow fell unwell or could not honor the commitment. And therefore, I was called back.
Wow. So somebody's loss was again sort of a thing.
But there were some simple things, like for instance, the next day the hotel was booked, the retreat was booked, the resort was supposed to commence the entire process, and all of a sudden the trainer had a stomach upset and couldn't make it. And I get
Okay.
a call at 6:30 in the morning. The trainer is seriously ill and can't make it. Can you please come over? And I'm like, perfectly fine. I'll just pack my bag and come.
Okay.
And the process started. These were my initial clients.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the largest conglomerates in India. I always wished to work with them, Tata's,
Mm-hmm.
right? My first engagement with Tata was on innovation.
Okay.
And there were already people who were doing a lot of innovation work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was selected and I was told, sorry, we can't work with you because they're already there and they're objecting to it. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
fine. And all of a sudden, I get a call. No, they're not wanting to do it. You can come and start. And then interestingly, I got into the entire framework of Tata leadership practices, the TLPs, and
Mm.
I was training across all the TLPs.
Fantastic.
Now the work grew. But that gentleman you met me and told me about 1,000 days also told me one thing. You have to be in integrity with what you do and you have to deliver quality.
Correct. Correct.
It doesn't matter whether the person is paying you or not paying you, but you cannot compromise on integrity and you cannot compromise on quality. Atyasa as a firm is so firm in
Mm.
terms of its corporate governance that my tolerance for lack of integrity in my organization
Mm-hmm.
is 1 hour.
That's great.
In 1 hour, the person has to leave.
Mm-hmm. Okay, taking you to another perspective altogether of this entrepreneurship, and especially now this particular portion of our interview would be for our audiences and for them to I know till now in last 18, 20 odd minutes they would have been learning power packed things coming their way, but still considering them. In an entrepreneurship journey, normally it's being said that you need to take care of a couple of things before you really jump into it and do all this and all. And somewhere we start feeling that a lot many more people just keep planning. They somehow can't come out of that particular thing and get into execution and really jump into this world. Any message from your side for them?
Don't prepare.
Okay, so.
Spontaneity is the game of entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
If you want to be mavericks, and
Okay.
I've done a lot of work on mavericks. In
Hmm.
fact, I love the word maverick, and people do call me also maverick, and I'm very happy that they call me maverick. Being a maverick is being unconventional and yet being absolutely in control on execution.
Hmm.
Now, if you have a maverick idea, obviously there is no precedence to it. You don't have any data available. You don't have any process available. You're
Absolutely.
just starting off because it's a whim.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is whimsical. There's nothing wrong with being whimsical. It's an idea, and you believe in the idea. That's it. Now, if the idea is a blue ocean idea, there is nothing that backs it up. What are you going to do? Just jump in. It's a leap of faith.
Fantastic. I
And
think
just
this is
believe in
brilliant.
coincidences. Coincidences happen.
Yeah, obviously we just heard from you a couple of them happening. So,
Coincidences happen.
okay. Niketji, we have a short portion of ours which we call it as a rapid fire, and we expect a
Yes,
one word answer from you coming
you will.
in.
You will.
Okay. Yes, fantastic. So now I'm nervous first time because you already are on a rapid fire mode. So I'm yet to get transformed out there. Anyway, uh, a biggest passion that Mr. Niket Karajagi feels that he have in him to start every new day.
Help people win.
Okay, and the definition of win in a more simplistic fashion, one word or one
Leave a
sentence.
legacy. I work on legacies.
Okay, the biggest challenge that you feel in your domain that you have right now.
Constant shift of knowledge.
Okay, and the biggest remedy of to come out of this challenge.
Learn, learn, learn.
One of the best things that you have ever learned, other than that 1,000 days, obviously.
Trust life. It's very kind.
Okay, your definition of trust and life together. If you have to communicate it to the budding entrepreneurs who are listening to this.
There's someone up there taking care of you.
Fantastic. I think I don't have any more questions beyond this because I'll literally fall short of questions looking at the speed of rapid fire that is coming from you. But it was fantastic for me. Before I really wrap it up and I because we do it for 25 30 odd minutes, just a short interview. But then I know I'm leaving a lot with Mr. Niket, which is still to be explored out or to be given out to the audiences. But having said that, I can take that risk because then that gives me an opportunity to invite you again back into onto this platform. But before I leave, there are a couple of questions that I think I'll have to ask in order to do justice to this.
Sure.
The first question is, if at all somebody wants a coach like you, okay, and before they really reach out to you, what is the first trigger that they should look within themselves that they really need a coach? I know everybody needs a coach, that is for sure. But in order to really reach out to somebody, what is that first trigger that a person should feel within themselves?
I'm a Zen practitioner. And
Okay.
in Zen, there is a very interesting proverb.
Mm-hmm.
You should be so desperate as though your head is held in water and you want to breathe.
Okay.
Unless you're desperate to have a mentor and a coach,
Mm-hmm.
don't reach people like us.
Okay. Yeah, especially like Mr. Niket, that you should be beware of, correct? So you have to be bloody desperate enough to reach out to him.
Terribly desperate.
Terribly desperate. Okay. One more thing. Now, you know, there are coaches, mentors in the world around, and believe me, there are some very good ones. And I'm not saying the other part of it, but then this is the first question that comes to the mind in every entrepreneur or everybody in terms of when they really want to, suppose they reach that desperation level and they want to really engage with a coach, what is the first thing that they should look into the coach in terms of finalizing whether, see, because not everybody will fit into every frequency to similarly in a similar fashion. So what is that they should be looking out for? So if you can just throw some light onto this.
Frequency and knowledge.
Okay, so can you just elaborate? This knowledge part is well understood. Frequency is something that that is a misnomer sort of a thing in people's mind. How to really assess this? So if you can just help us out.
After meeting the coach,
Hmm.
if the coach still appears in your dreams, that's the coach.
I think better than this, no answer could have been there. So at times, yes, you do meet people who start appearing in your dreams after you met them. But yes, in terms of coaching,
I'll
yes, I
tell you
can take
where
that.
I'm coming
Yeah,
from.
please.
There's a CEO who was talking to me,
Hmm.
and he said, Niket, I don't think the organization is yet ready for you. And I
Okay.
said, no problem. We had a cup of coffee,
Hmm.
and he said, thank you. He called me up after 6 months. He said, I'm not able to sleep. Every time there is a problem that I encounter in my company, I always think about you. And he flew back to meet me again to have a cup of coffee in the same restaurant and said, here I am telling you, we start work tomorrow morning. And I
So
tell you that organization, we did wonders in that organization because there was chemistry, there was trust, and of course, there was knowledge at both the ends.
okay, so that means Mr. Niket also knows how to appear in dreams as well, isn't it?
Well, I think it's not about me. It's about a lot of people.
Hmm.
If they are supposed to contribute in your life,
Hmm.
if that's the part of the blueprint of your life, that that person is supposed to play a role in the life, there is an inner calling which will keep telling you to get back to the person. It is very unfortunate when people do not go by their inner calling
Hmm.
and kind of disobey their inner calling and then get frustrated when they're just about going to hang their boots. I have had a lot of people coming back to me after they hung their boots and said, I always wanted you to be my coach, but it's too late now.
Okay. So I'm going to end with this particular note out from you. Keep for all our audiences out here, do listen to your inner callings because, as Mr. Niket said, if it is destined to happen, it will happen for sure. It's only that you will have to walk that way. If
Oh, you remember this. You also have the power to change your destiny.
yeah, obviously.
I have studied destiny very closely. I'm a metaphysicist. I
Hmm.
have researched life,
Okay.
and life has given you the power and the authority to bring about a change in your destiny. Also, nothing is cast in stone.
So it's only up to us. We will have to be ready for it. We will have to at least start moving towards it, isn't it?
The choices that you make in life create your destiny. And
And
whatever is not in line with your inner calling is not in line with your destiny. You will actually ruin your destiny, even though you were born with a great destiny.
I think could not have been a better line to close this interview than this. We could have continued because it's so enriching talking to you, Niketji. But as I said, this gives us an opportunity to call you back again on this platform at some point of time again. Uh, from all our
Thank
audiences
you.
and from this revolving perspective, a big thanks to you. Thank you for being here with us. It was lovely talking to you, and it is a pleasure to meet you here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Niketji.
much.
Thank you.